Sometimes a single message can stop fans in their tracks. Not a scripted line, not a scene from a show, but a heartfelt truth straight from the heart of the person they admire. This time it's John Reardon, the beloved face of Hudson and Rex, who has shared words so full of emotion that fans everywhere are left holding back tears. It isn't just an actor speaking, it's a man opening his heart to a family he's grown with. A family that exists both on and off the screen. John Reardon didn't begin his message with glamour or spotlight. He began with honesty. He spoke of how much the Hudson and Rex family means to him, not just the fellow cast members who bring the stories to life, but also the crew working tirelessly behind the cameras, and most of all, the millions of fans who never stopped believing in the show. He called it more than a series. To him, Hudson and Rex became a journey built on friendship, loyalty, and trust. And at the very center of that journey stands his four-legged partner on-screen, Rex, played by Diesel. John admitted that working alongside Rex was not just acting. It was building a bond with an animal who became his most faithful co-star, one who listened, one who felt, and one who gave the show its heartbeat. He reflected on the countless days on set, remembering the early mornings when the cast gathered with sleepy eyes and steaming cups of coffee, ready to dive into another day of filming. He shared how the laughter, the mistakes, and even the moments of exhaustion were worth it because they were not just making a television show, they were making memories together. But what touched fans the most was his voice when he turned to speak about the audience. With softness, he said that Hudson and Rex was never only theirs. It belonged to the fans. Every story told, every case solved, every scene where Hudson and Rex leaned on each other, it was meant for the people who tuned in week after week. He thanked them for sticking by the show through its highs and lows, for sending messages of love, for sharing artwork, and for reminding the cast that their work was reaching far beyond the studio walls. John admitted that there were days he doubted himself. Days when the pressure of carrying such a beloved role felt overwhelming. But then came the letters, the tweets, the kind words from fans across the world, messages saying that Hudson and Rex gave them comfort or helped them through difficult times. He said it was in those moments that he realized he was not just playing Charlie Hudson. He was part of something bigger, something that touched real lives, and as his voice grew heavier with emotion, John compared the show to a family dinner table where everyone is welcome, where laughter is shared, and where even silence has meaning. He said the Hudson and Rex family extends to every living room where the show has ever played, to every household that made it part of their evenings. It was this message of belonging, this feeling that no one was ever watching alone, that moved fans deeply. It wasn't simply about crime stories or dramatic rescues, it was about love, loyalty, and connection. And John's gratitude was not rehearsed or polished. It was raw, vulnerable, and real. He ended this opening part of his message with a reminder that family doesn't always mean blood. Sometimes family is the people, and yes, even the dogs who walk beside you on the journey of life. For John, the Hudson and Rex family has been exactly that. Asterisk. When John Reardon spoke about his Hudson and Rex family, he didn't just mention names, he painted pictures. He described the set as more than a workplace. To him, it was a second home, built on early mornings, long nights, and countless moments of laughter that never made it to the screen. He spoke about the cast as brothers and sisters, a group bound not by contracts but by genuine affection. Each member, from the lead roles to the smallest supporting part, added a voice to what he called the heartbeat of the show. He remembered moments when exhaustion should have won, but didn't. The long winter shoots in Newfoundland, when the wind was cutting and the snow was thick, yet the crew kept smiling and working together. John admitted that it was those moments of shared struggle that created a bond stronger than any script could write. He called the crew the invisible heroes, the people who held the world of Hudson and Rex together behind the camera. The lighting team, the makeup artists, the stunt coordinators, all of them were part of the story. Even if the audience never saw their faces, but when John's words shifted to Diesel, the German shepherd who played Rex, his tone softened in a way that made fans lean in closer. He said that Rex was more than a co-star, he was a partner, a silent storyteller. Diesel's eyes, John explained, could carry more emotion than any dialogue could. There were scenes where words failed, but Rex's presence filled the silence with power. John shared how Diesel's loyalty on set mirrored the loyalty of Rex in the series, unwavering, strong, and pure. He never missed a cue, John said with a quiet smile. But more than that, he never missed a chance to remind us what unconditional trust looks like. John then opened his heart to the fans. And this was the part that made many reach for tissues. He said that without their love, Hudson and Rex would have been just another television project. But the audience turned it into something alive. They didn't just watch, they engaged. They wrote letters, shared drawings, posted messages online, and in doing so, became part of the story. John admitted that on difficult days, he would scroll through fan messages and find the strength to keep going. He said fans were not just viewers. They were the final piece of the puzzle that made our family whole. He described receiving a letter from a young viewer who said watching Hudson and Rex solve cases gave them courage after losing their own pet. Another fan shared how the show helped them through a time of loneliness, reminding them that loyalty and love can always be found, even when the world feels heavy. John's voice carried weight as he explained that Hudson and Rex wasn't just entertainment. It became a source of healing and comfort for people across the globe. In his message, John wanted the Hudson and Rex family to know one thing: gratitude. Gratitude for every person on set who gave their all. Gratitude for Rex, who brought soul to the screen, and gratitude for the fans whose support made everything worthwhile. He emphasized that the show had become more than stories about solving crimes. It had become a celebration of loyalty, resilience, and hope. He closed this section with a powerful image. He asked fans to imagine the Hudson and Rex family as a circle. In that circle were the cast, the crew, Diesel, and every fan who ever tuned in. No one stood outside it. Everyone belonged. And as he spoke those words, John reminded them that circles never end, they keep going. Just like the love that built this family. What struck fans the hardest about John Reardon's message was not just what he said, it was how he said it. His words weren't polished lines crafted for the cameras. They were raw and trembling, filled with pauses that carried more weight than sentences. It was in those pauses, in the cracks of his voice, that fans heard the truth. This show had changed him. And he knew it had changed them too. John reflected on the years he had stepped into Charlie Hudson's shoes. At first, it was a role, just another character, another project in a long career. But somewhere along the way, the role stopped being fiction. He explained how Hudson's loyalty to Rex, his sense of justice, and his quiet resilience began to influence John himself. Hudson taught me more about loyalty than I ever expected, he admitted, his words almost breaking. And Rex reminded me that love doesn't need words to be real. As those words echoed, fans began to feel the depth of his bond, not just with the show, but with the values it carried. For many, it wasn't simply a TV drama. It was a reflection of their own lives. A reminder of the pets they had loved, the families they cherished, the battles they had faced and overcome. And hearing John connect so deeply with those same themes made it feel personal, like he was speaking directly to them. He shared an anecdote from filming a particularly heavy episode, where Hudson nearly lost Rex. John said that while shooting that scene, he felt something real stirring inside him. The fear of losing a partner, whether human or animal, wasn't just acting. It was real. He thought about his own loved ones, and the thought that loss is always just a heartbeat away. That moment blurred the line between actor and character, leaving him shaken long after the cameras stopped rolling. Fans listening to his confession realized that the emotions they saw on screen had not been performance alone. They had been real echoes of John's own heart. And then came the part that truly broke fans. John spoke about endings. Not in a definitive way, but with the kind of gentle awareness that every journey has a limit. He admitted that one day the cameras would stop rolling, the lights would dim, and Hudson and Rex would live only in memory. But, he promised, the love they built on set and the love they received from fans would never fade. He called it an unshakable bond. Something time could never erase. His words carried the weight of goodbye, even if he never said it outright. Fans couldn't help but wonder if John was hinting at stepping away, or if he simply wanted to prepare hearts for the inevitable truth that no show lasts forever. That uncertainty stirred an ache, because nobody was ready to imagine Hudson and Rex without John. To soften the heaviness, John spoke of legacy. He told fans that legacies are not built on awards or headlines, but on the moments people carry with them long after the screen goes black. He hoped that when people thought of Hudson and Rex, they would remember more than just crime-solving adventures. He wanted them to remember the quiet lessons hidden in each episode, that trust is sacred, that loyalty is powerful, and that love, whether between people or between a man and his dog, can heal. As he finished this reflection, John's message turned into a mirror. Fans weren't just listening. They were looking back at their own lives. They remembered the pets they had loved and lost. They remembered times when a show on television helped them through loneliness. They remembered moments when Hudson and Rex gave them hope they didn't know they needed. And in that shared silence, thousands of fans realized why tears were falling, because John's words weren't only about himself. They were about all of them. It was this honesty, this shared vulnerability, that made his message unforgettable. In a world where celebrity words are often scripted and distant, John Reardon had spoken like family. And when family speaks from the heart, you don't just hear it, you feel it deeply. As John's message reached its final notes, his words became softer, almost like a whisper carried on the wind. He didn't want it to sound like an ending, but rather a reminder that every bond built within the Hudson and Rex family continues to live on, even when the cameras stop rolling. His voice carried that unshakable mix of gratitude and vulnerability that only comes when someone is speaking directly from the heart. He spoke first of his co-stars. He called them pillars of strength, not just talented actors, but friends who turned long working hours into moments of laughter and comfort. He mentioned how every smile, every shared joke behind the scenes, and every word of encouragement became part of the show's foundation. We may step off set at the end of the day, John reflected, but the friendships we carry off screen, that's the real story. That's the story I'll take with me for the rest of my life. Then he turned his attention to Rex Diesel, the loyal German shepherd who stood beside him in almost every scene. John said he would never forget the trust shining in Diesel's eyes, the way he would wait patiently between takes, and the way he seemed to understand things no one had to explain. "You can't fake the bond between a man and his dog," John admitted with a trembling smile. "Diesel taught me that love doesn't have to be spoken, it's lived." For fans listening, those words echoed like a farewell poem, a reminder of why Hudson and Rex's bond felt so real, so timeless. John then stretched his gratitude outward, beyond the set and the show, to the fans who gave it life. He called them the soul of the series, the true reason Hudson and Rex endured. He said every letter, every fan artwork, every heartfelt message online became a piece of the mosaic that kept the show alive. "You didn't just watch us," he said. "You believed in us. And in believing, you made us better." There was a pause after those words, a silence heavy with emotion, as though even John himself needed a moment to steady his heart. When he spoke again, his voice carried the weight of legacy. He told fans that Hudson and Rex was never just about solving cases. It was about reminding the world of something we often forget, that loyalty is unbreakable, that trust is worth fighting for, and that love, no matter what form it takes, has the power to heal. He asked fans to carry those lessons with them, even long after the final episode has aired. "If this show gave you comfort in hard times, hold on to that comfort," he said. "If it reminded you of a pet you loved, let that memory be a blessing. If it gave you hope when you needed it most, never let go of that hope, because that's the real gift we shared together." And then came his closing words, the part that truly sealed the moment. With a voice trembling yet full of love, John said, "Family is not only the people we are born to. Family is also the people, and sometimes the dogs, who walk beside us, who hold us up when life feels heavy, who remind us that we are never alone. You are my family. The cast, the crew, Rex, and every single one of you who has ever watched and believed, you are my family. And for that, I will be grateful for the rest of my life." The message didn't end with a period, it ended with an invitation. John encouraged fans to keep the spirit of the Hudson and Rex family alive, to share their own stories, to keep supporting one another, and to remember that love and loyalty don't fade when the credits roll. He promised that, no matter where life takes him, a part of his heart will always remain with Hudson, with Rex, and with the family that grew around them. As those final words lingered, the screen could fade to quiet images, the shadow of a man walking alongside a loyal dog, the glow of a family sitting together around a TV, the light in fans' eyes as they remember what the show gave them. No dramatic endings, no loud goodbyes, just a soft and powerful reminder that stories don't truly end. They live on in the people who carry them forward, and so John Reardon's emotional message became more than a farewell. It became a tribute to the show, to the cast and crew, to Rex, and most of all, to the fans who turned Hudson and Rex into something unforgettable. Because in the end, the Hudson and Rex family isn't just a TV family. It's a real one. A family built on love, loyalty, and connection, and a family that will live in the hearts of fans forever.